All right, go ahead and hit okay so we can start the show.
Okay. No.
So what I'm gonna do, Michael, man, I'm just gonna go. I'll manage the room. Okay, I'm gonna let people in, so you don't have to worry about that. But before we get going, guys, like I was just saying, Michael Odell, this dude has a lot to share with y'all, and I'm super appreciative of him taking the time tonight, especially with his busy schedule. We were just talking about his kids' baseball schedule, so we had to plan this call around that. So I appreciate him taking that time and that giving us this opportunity to learn from him and what he has to offer. Right, there's going to be a lot of value that's given to you over the next 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, so if you don't have a pen and pad, I recommend having something to write with because you're probably going to be taking some notes. Yeah. Michael, me and him, we grew up, right? We grew up together, same small country town. We played sports together. We did all the things together. Eventually we went our own ways. We both actually joined the Marine Corps straight out of high school, right? And funny story, we like totally went separate ways. One day on a bus in Iraq, I think I was coming back from the gym or something like that.
Yeah.
I randomly see this guy get on a bus across the world, and it's Michael Odell. And he's like, "Nick, is that you?" I'm like, "What the hell?" Yeah. It was just very interesting. It was a small world. And then eventually our paths just went separate ways again. And they've kind of come full circle almost a decade later, right? Yeah. I've had the opportunity of working with them as a one-on-one client last year. I helped him in his journey a little bit, and now he's kind of gone off and he's doing amazing things, right? So he's the admins director, correct, at Warriors Heart?
Yeah, Warriors Heart, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the admin director of Warriors Heart, which is a nonprofit in Bandera, Texas. And then he's also the CEO of Vantage Training Academy, okay? And they specialize in comprehensive personal and professional development, okay? So talking about financial intelligence, leadership, team building, personal and professional development, and then of course sales training, right? So he has really a lot to offer, and super excited on his call. But I'll stop selling you, man. Go ahead and you can just kind of take over, man. I'm ready to listen and learn.
Right on, dude. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we do. For everybody on the call, I really appreciate y'all being here. I'm in the challenge with y'all as well, so I'm in it with you. I was a one-on-one client last year and had an amazing journey doing that. And then, so I'm also looking forward to this challenge with y'all. Like Nick said, we've known each other for a long time. We kind of parted ways for like you said, almost a decade. And then we came back together full circle. And it's just interesting, like what I'm trying to do with Vantage Point Training Academy and is almost the exact same thing as Transformation Project's trying to do. They're just doing it a different way, and like bringing it in a different way. So what we focus on is personal and professional development, and I've been doing it for about 4 years now, pretty steady, just nonstop doing seminars, trainings, courses, raising my kids, got Capri Suns, and I'm just excited to be here with y'all. We had the opportunity to go to Houston for the what'd you call it, the one-on-one or intensive something, one-day seminar. And what we got to do was pour into some of Nick's clients and really just help them grow and help them break down some walls and barriers that have been in their way from getting the results that they want. Everybody's looking for results. That's why you're on this call. That's why you're in this challenge. Whether you're looking for just results of looking better, being sexier, looking better in a swimsuit, you're getting your beach body going, right? Or your mental or physical or spiritual or emotional health. It's all encompassing. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. But again, I just want to say I'm super thankful to be here. How many of y'all are actually on a computer and can use the chat box? Does everybody know how to use the chat box? Type in me if you can use the chat box. All right. We got a few people. That's good. For those of y'all that are on your phone or just on Facebook, or well, I don't think it's on Facebook, but I'll ask a few questions. Use the chat box. It's a fun way to get interactive with each other. The first thing I want to ask is how many of you joined this challenge after a specific result? right? Think about that. What was the result that I joined this challenge for? One second. While you're thinking about that, I'm gonna get a pickle out of a pickle jar.
The dad life, right?
Yep, dad life. So we all join this challenge to get some sort of results, right? Whatever those results are, but there's always something in the way, right? There's always something that gets in the way of the results we're trying to get in life. And that's what personal development and even professional development is all about. It's about breaking down those walls, breaking down those barriers, and truly just becoming a bigger version of you, right? Like all the way around, just not physically, right? No, I'm just kidding. But that's what we're on the challenge for. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully y'all can see it. One second. Can everybody see that? Thumbs up. We good to go? All right, sweet. So we're all here for a set of some sort of results. Type in the chat box what you think gets in the way of you, or gets in the way of your results that you're trying to get. What gets in the way? Time, stress, drinking, yep, work, kids, socializing. Awesome. Thank y'all for sharing. So one thing that we can try to change, and this applies to some of that stuff, is our behavior, right? That's one thing that we look at sometimes. Like, if I just change my behavior, I'll start to get the results that I'm looking for. So we'll start to work on changing behavior. But what happens when that's the only thing that we change, right? Think about that for a second. We've got a set of results that we're going for, whether it's to lose weight, look good, be smarter, get a degree, get a better job, get promoted, get a raise, be a better father.
A better job.
Right? Be a better father, be a better mother, right? So if we feel like we're not up to par, we may try to change some of our behaviors. Maybe some of those behaviors are eating too much, or hitting snooze on your life. How many of you hit snooze like 6-7 times in the morning before you actually roll out of bed? And it does zero for you. Nothing. Right? I've done it too. I struggle with that sometimes too. I'll set my alarm at 5 and then it goes off 5:08, 5:16, 5:24. And that whole hour you're not sleeping, but we do it. And then the night comes again and we tell ourselves, I'm going to get up at 5. I'm going to go to the garage. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the gym, whatever it is. We're trying to change those behaviors. And oftentimes our voice will get in the way, our internal voice. Some people call it their little voice. I learned this, what we're learning right now, I got from an amazing teacher. His name is Blair Singer. He's one of my mentors. He's just a phenomenal individual. And that's the problem when it comes to changing behavior, is it's not sustainable. Changing behavior is not sustainable. You might do it for a few days, but you'll fall back. You might do it for a few months, but you'll fall back because you haven't had a true transformation. How many of y'all can relate to that? Just trying to change behavior, right? It's easy. It's like the first thing that we think of, like, oh, I'll just change my behavior. I'll act right. I'll be better. And it just doesn't go anywhere. So then the next thing that we try to change, take a guess. Type in the chat box what you think it is. What's the next thing that we can try to change outside of our behaviors? There's no wrong answers. I'll let y'all know right now. There's no wrong answers. It's all relevant. Habits, mindset. Man, Bridget H, outstanding. Mindset. Mindset and attitude. This could be how we look at food. This could be how we look at our relationship. This could be how we look at the gym, how we look at exercise, right? It could be any of those things. And we try to change our mindset to, if I can just get around that little voice that's holding me back, I'll be able to change the behavior, and that's going to get me the result that I'm looking for. But that's been proven not to, it will help, right? It'll help, but it's not that sustainable change that we're looking for. Here, sit over here. This is Natalie. And I asked her to give me an hour, and she gave me about 7 minutes. So good job. Mindset and attitude. How many of you struggle? Type me in the chat box if you struggle with changing your mindset around something or a specific task or goal. All right, that's easy to do. Easy. So there's something other than mindset that we can work on. And this is the most important of all. It's our self-concept. Okay. Don't touch that, please. It's our self-concept. What is our self-concept? Take a guess. So our self, how we think about ourselves. Beautiful. So this is our self-concept is built up with our ideals. Hopefully y'all can read that. Our image.
Only they can read that.
Please stop. And our self-esteem. So our self-concept, who we see ourselves, how we see ourselves, what we believe that we are, right? That is our self-concept. And what's interesting is our self-concept is built upon something we call pre-conditioning. Preconditioning is how you were raised, the words and the life that people poured into you at a young age is your preconditioning. The words and the activities and anything that your teachers in school poured into you, right? Some teachers in school poured into some kids that they weren't going to amount to anything. I was one of them. Some teachers poured into other students that they were going to be super successful politicians and the president of the United States one day. Why is it that some people get poured into so positively and then some people don't, right? The reality is that's what creates our self-concept, right? And our self-concept, this is probably the most important piece of it all. Our self-concept will never exceed, or our results will never exceed our self-concept, right? So it's not enough just to change behavior. It's not enough just to change your mindset around something. It's not enough just to speak affirmations into your life, right? Like if you think you're a bad father and you start saying affirmations, I am a good father, that's great. That's going to help you work on your self-concept, right? But your results will never exceed what you truly believe of yourself. And so that's when we get into the real nuts and bolts of personal development and total transformation, right? It's about becoming bigger, becoming smarter, becoming more intelligent, more social, more whatever it is that you're trying to get, right? How many of you can relate that or can relate with a poor self-concept? Don't be ashamed to say me. Right here. Right here. I had a poor self-concept. I don't know, for a long time, probably from the age of 12 or 13 till about 6 years ago. And it was destructive. It was destroying my life. Day by day, things would happen and it would damage my self-concept. I would get in trouble, damage my self-concept. I would gain weight, damage my self-concept. And these external forces that were damaging my self-concept, right? It was just affecting me internally. That's what happens. These things will affect us internally. And our little voice, I don't need my eraser. Our little voice is what destroys it, right? What's that saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, right? Heard that when you were a kid? That is so false. So false, so not true. You can get to a point in your life, in your personal development, where words don't hurt you, right? But if you don't have that training and you're literally being told these things every day, like you're not a good wife, you're not a good spouse, you're not a good cook, you're not a good mom, you're never going to lose weight, you're never going to get that job. When you hear those things, especially from people that you might look up to, that's damaging. That shit hurts way worse than sticks and stones because it destroys your life, right? There's power in words, tons of power in words. And so can we speak life into our lives? Can we speak life into our kids' lives? Can we speak life into our friends and family and loved ones and people we encounter? Right? Like, can I speak life into your life? Right? That's what improving our self-concept is all about. And that preconditioning piece, for a long time, I thought I was never going to amount to anything. That's why I joined the Marine Corps. I'm going to stop share here. Did everybody taking notes? If you got notes, type in notes. If you got your notes.
Daddy,
What's up,
I
sweetie?
need a bun.
Good job. Awesome. I think this recording will be up too tomorrow, so you can tune back in if you missed anything. But that piece right there is crazy, crucial and important to your growth, right? And when I hand it over to Nick, he's going to tie this in really well to everything that he's got going on and he wants to present to y'all today. But if you can work on your self-image, your self-esteem, and your self-ideals, who you think you are, who you believe you are, that will change your mindset and attitude around life. That's what will change that. And then when those things change, that's when your behavior starts to change. They're in your box. That's when your behavior starts to change. You can't just go results, behavior, life's good. This formula, it was taught to me. I didn't create this. This is taught to me, but it works. It works. And if you want to really jump in and get started where you need to get started, it starts with you. It starts with you. It doesn't start with anything external. It doesn't start with anything going around you. It doesn't start with anything but you. That's where it starts. And when you start to work on that, things will start to change. The last thing that I want to really roll into and talk about, I'm going to share screen again. This is also, it's just good stuff. I'm so happy I get to share this with y'all. If y'all have any questions on anything, just throw them in the chat box on Zoom and I can answer them as they come up.
Daddy, can I paint?
Yeah, you can paint, go get water. So there are two types of discipline. Okay. And this ties right into this as well. Yes, ma'am, you can. There's two types of discipline. There's internal discipline and there's external discipline. Okay. An example would be what's fixing to happen right now. You're not allowed to climb on the counter. That's external discipline. She knows she's not supposed to climb on the counter, but she's on the counter right now. If she was using her internal discipline, if she was disciplined enough, my daughter, she's 5 years old, name's Natalie, she wouldn't have climbed on the counter, but I had to correct her, right? So that's an external force providing correction, right? So there's internal and external discipline. And what I want to share with y'all is, so we'll do internal discipline, we'll roll with blue. When our internal discipline is up, our external discipline will decrease, okay? So example, if she would have been disciplined enough to not climb on the counter, I wouldn't have had to say anything, right? And so that external force is not coming against her. That pressure is not coming against her. That correction is not coming. That write up at work is not coming. But when our external discipline is high, or when our internal discipline, I said that backwards, when our internal discipline is low, our external discipline is high.
That's cool.
When our external discipline, or when our internal is low, the universe is going to come against you. The weight's going to come back. The exhaustion is going to come back. The stress is going to come back. The negative relationships are going to come back, right? The disciplinary actions at work are going to come back. The breakup is going to come back. It's all going to start coming back when our internal discipline plummets. And why does our internal discipline plummet? Why do y'all think? Why do you think our internal discipline would plummet? We were once disciplined, and now we're not.
Get some red.
Any takers? Again, hey, there's no wrong answers, right? We're all here to learn. That's how we learn. We make mistakes. I think Nick could comment on this. When you were in, when we were both in the Marine Corps, when you were in training, did you train? So did you train in the hopes that the instructors could not find anything wrong with the Marines? Or were you training hoping that the instructors were able to find something that they can correct and improve
I
on?
didn't get a tablet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're training and no one's finding areas of improvement or places to correct,
You got the
you're
wrong
not training. You're not training. Mistakes are how we learn. The school system, nothing against teachers. I love teachers. I love them to death. But the traditional school system will tell you if you get an answer wrong, you are not smart. And if you get the answer right, you are smart, right? But how we learn in real life is by making mistakes. That's how we learn. If we learn from them, right?
Yellow, I need some yellow.
If we learn from them. So that's when our internal discipline plummets,
That means green.
is when we lose all sense of accountability. We let our self-concept drop, fall. We start believing all this crap that the wrong people are pouring into us, right? We get nervous and we go to this gym, and then everybody in the gym is like, well, what are you doing here? You need to just get on an elliptical. Like that kind of crap. Those people don't need to be in that gym. You know what I mean? It's about learning from our mistakes. And so again, when our internal discipline is high and through the roof, our external discipline is minimal. It may even be non-existent, right? And Yeah, it's what I so I was reading
It's gonna make it
where I got
better.
this from. I was reading a Rich Dad the Rich Dad book. I don't know if y'all heard of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad stuff, but he was a Marine pilot, and this was one of his concepts that he had in that book, and he got it from training, from the Marine Corps training. I don't know what it was, but they were training pilots how to fly, so they were always trying to find mistakes, and so every time that they would find a mistake, they would correct the mistake. That discipline grew, and the external forces shrunk, right? And that's what life's about, right? When we let go, life starts to fall apart, right? We get stressed out at work, and then we come home, and then someone asks us if we can have a cookie, and then we're like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." Like, all they did was ask you for a cookie. Why are you so, you know what I mean? Are you wearing the baggage of the workday? Well, why was the workday coming against you, right? Like, what can you do to discipline yourself to not allow those things to weigh so heavily on you? And it rolls right back in to improving who you believe you are.
Crystal,
Right. Crystal. Don't know who that is.
my teacher.
Her teacher. I should know who that is.
There's two crystals. My teacher. My favorite one and the silly one.
Yeah. So, Nick, do you have anything you want to add to that, to discipline?
No, man, I think this is going to tie in perfectly to what we're going to be talking about tonight in our training call. Thanks for the great segue, man. I wish you could be there every time I do a call.
Yeah, anytime.
Nah, man. Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do, hey, Mike, will you go ahead? I know I got you made you as a co-host. Would you, if anyone's coming in, will you just go ahead and let them admit in, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate that, man.
Mhm.
All right. So just kind of tying off what Mike was talking to y'all about, right? Like, it must begin with you. And this is something we're real big on, right? I know a lot of people here in the challenge, right? You're new to us and what we do. Like, we're just getting started. It's only the third day, right? We are going to be pouring into y'all for the next 6 weeks, right? And our ultimate goal is to give you something to basically take and apply to your life. And we have a very unique process that we work with when it comes to all of our one-on-one clients. And I want to make sure that you learn those frameworks, because if you take these frameworks and you apply them to your life, you're going to be massively successful. And it's not just nutrition. It's not just fitness. We're talking about you as an individual, as a human being, right? We're currently living in what I believe is an era of education. The level of nutritional knowledge in our society, it's at an all-time high, guys. But unfortunately, so is the level of confusion around the application. From keto to carb cycling, and from fasting to carnivore, the number of dietary protocols in existence is literally at an all-time high. But yet, so is obesity. More diets equals more problems. That doesn't really add up. All right. So the simple question still remains: which diet is best for you? Perhaps it's time for everyone to finally realize that the solution to your problem doesn't live inside another diet. And first and foremost, guys, I think it's important to understand that it's, in our opinion, that there's no such thing as a good or bad dietary protocol. Instead of glorifying or demonizing a given approach, we find it more prudent to simply identify the facts and create a decision to implement or not to implement accordingly. And that's what we're going to talk about, is you must begin with you, your wants, your needs, your goals, your dietary history, your metabolic history, your life, and who you are as a dieter, your lifestyle. And there are several ways we can apply physiology and biology properly inside of a dietary setup. But without emphasis on the individual, the application will never be accurate. And so my goal for y'all guys over the next few weeks is to give you a clear understanding of exactly what that looks like for you, right? And how you can apply that to your life, right? Because the applications that you need to not only create change, but to achieve the goal you truly desire and to create lasting change, which is way more important. I know a lot of y'all may be here for a short while, right? Maybe you just want to lose 10 pounds. That's cool. That's great. We're going to make that happen. But my ultimate goal is to make sure that you take that 10 pounds and you do something better with that, right? You use it for a reason, right? Because that's tactics. That's easy. So does that sound good with y'all tonight, guys? Is it okay if I share a little bit of that with y'all? Get y'all a litof bit more clarity on exactly what your goal is, so we can basically get you there in the more appropriate manner, right? Like if you're tired, like I'm sure many of you are, you're tired of struggling with sustainable weight loss or muscle gain, or just understanding nutrition in general, right? You're probably ready to break free from your dietary shackles, right? And not only acquire the dream body that you truly deserve, but give you the, like do it in a way that you can do it where you actually love living that life. Like if that's something you're looking for, go ahead and put yes in the chat. If you're ready to literally just break free of all dietary shackles, stop the BS, like stop going from diet to diet, not really knowing what works for you, taking away things that you love and enjoy, like just put yes. I think that's super important. I love it, everyone. That's huge. So as you're going to learn, guys, over the next few weeks, and I got a bunch of one-on-one clients in here, right? You can ask them, talk to them, right? Working alongside myself and my team, like each set of goals also comes with a set of sacrifices, and these must be understood, right? If you don't understand the sacrifices that you need to make to achieve your goals, well, you're ultimately set up for failure, right? So the information I want to share with y'all is going to be our applications-based principles, right? That we have utilized literally thousands of times to create successful transformations over the past few years. And these weren't just stumbled upon. All right, these are the very frameworks and the very reason why we're not only able to create results, but to do it in a way that's sustainable and more importantly, to guarantee your success, to guarantee your results. Is it cool if I share that with y'all guys? Y'all ready to learn the first framework? Cool. But before I do that, I want to get to know y'all a little bit better, right? Because like we said, it starts with you, right? So I got a few questions for you tonight. So if you know how to use the chat, we're going to be using the chat a little bit, right? So who here has a health, nutrition, and fitness related goal, right? So real quick, if your goal is to lose fat, you're going to put fat loss in the chat. If your goal is to gain muscle, you're going to put muscle in the chat. If your goal is to lose fat and gain muscle, I want you to type the word both in the chat. Let's see where we're at. Fat loss, love it. Fat loss, both. Yes, fat loss. All right, cool. So we all want a result. That's what you're saying. Like Mike said in the very beginning, we're all here for a result, right? Which is very important. Cool, fat loss, more, both. Cool. Well, now guys, I think it's pretty safe to say that the transformation challenge or the transformation project or total transformation program is not the first thing that you've ever tried to achieve this goal. Is that correct? Have we all tried other programs before prior to coming here? I'm pretty sure, right? So what we're gonna do, if you've tried 3 or more things to accomplish this goal, whether that be any combination of dietary protocols, fad diets, doesn't matter what it is, Optavia, keto, Weight Watchers, RP, WAG, I can name them all, right? If you did any supplement protocols, if you joined any gym, if you've had a PT, if you had 3 or more, go ahead and put me in the chat. Me. Look at this, everyone, right? I've done all the things times 12. It's ridiculous the amount of things I've done, and which I will share with y'all later on down the road, right? I want y'all to know some of the things that I've gone through so you can have a better understanding of where I come from. Everyone, right? We've all done all the things. Let's check this out. So has anyone here on this call tonight only tried 1 or 2 things? If you've only done 1 or 2 things to accomplish your goals, type me in the chat now. Anyone? Interesting, right? So we've all done all the things, but still we're trying to achieve the same results. So let's check this out, guys. Who here prior to starting any of these other things that you've done in the past, whether that be a diet for weight loss program or supplement regimen, or you joined a gym, anything, doesn't matter, any one of the things that you've done before, who here, the very first thing that you did prior to starting was to obtain a very thorough and detailed understanding of not only what this goal is and the exact path required to get there, but what this goal is not. And I'm not just talking about my goal being of lose the 10 to 20 pounds or gain 5 pounds and get stronger. I'm talking about a very detailed understanding. Like, what is your real goals? Why do you want to achieve these things? What is that reason? A desire much deeper than the surface level achievements of losing the weight or gaining the weight or getting stronger. I'm talking about how these accomplishments will immensely improve every other aspect of your life, and not just your life, but everyone around you's life. And just importantly is understanding exactly what these goals are not, so you don't waste time going the wrong direction. We've wasted too much time. We've done 3 or more things and we're still trying to see or achieve the same goal, guys. Who here has ever done this first? The very first thing you did was turn that GPS on, learn exactly what that path looks like to get you where you want to be. Go ahead and put me if you've done that thing. Has anyone ever done that? Nobody. Interesting. So do you think if you understood exactly what this looked like for you as the very unique individuals that you are, you'd have a better chance of not just achieving your desired outcome, but doing it in a way where it's actually something you can obtain for the rest of your life? Like, if you think this is important, just put yes. Absolutely, right? Everyone's going to put yes. Like, knowing what this path looks like is just setting yourself up for success. Like, nowadays, you wouldn't try and drive to Canada without a GPS. Just think about the way we used to do it when we had to print out our maps. It's crazy. Or before that, when there was no printers. How'd you ever get anywhere? We'd all be lost. Well, we're doing that with ourselves right now. We're lost. So, like, why are we skipping steps? Like, this is the very first thing. Why wouldn't you start here? Why haven't you started here? This is perhaps literally the single most important nutritional tactic to achieve better results and quicker. Like, legitimately, this is it. And it all starts with having crystal clear understanding of exactly what your goals are. It all starts with clarity. We have this saying in the sniper community, blurry targets don't get hit. Right? Let's get a clear glass picture on exactly what we're aiming for. And we do this with an image of a triangle, and it's called the triangle awareness. And it's a tool that we here at the Transformation Project, we've adopted a few years back, right? It came from the fact that when we were working with high performing athletes, or really just individuals who were utilizing high performance training modalities like CrossFit to change their body composition, we often saw one simple desire, and it was people wanted to perform better, but they also wanted to look better. And from a very simple foundational level, guys, that doesn't really add up. To perform better, you need to be at calorie maintenance or perhaps a small surplus. And typically to look better, we're talking about fat loss for most, which would require being in a calorie deficit. And I've never, to my day in 33 years on this earth, ever met an individual that can be in a calorie deficit for a prolonged period of time, and at the exact same time, be in a calorie surplus. It just doesn't add up. So the real question becomes, what are your goals? And we're asked this all the time, like, what's the one nutritional tactic that you would use or you could pass on and give the world? What would it be? And this is it. It's a simple understanding of exactly what your goals are, but more importantly, what your goals are not, right? And that's exactly what the triangle awareness is going to help us illustrate, guys. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what this looks like, guys. And literally, it's just a simple triangle, and it does so much for us. There we go. Can everyone see that triangle? Just go ahead and put me in the chat so I know you can see it. Cool. So, and a triangle is the perfect illustration of this principle. Okay, so when we look at a triangle, right, there's 3 points. And we talk about pretty much everyone's goals here, right? Aesthetics, performance, and longevity, right? So on one corner, we have performance. On the other, we have aesthetics. And at the very top, we have longevity. And as you'll note, the furthest point, the absolute point of performance is maximal distance away from aesthetics. And at the exact same time, it's maximal distance away from longevity. And so when we talk about the pinnacle performance guys, we talk about NFL athletes, CrossFit athletes, or any high performing sport in general. We talk about what are they awarded for? What is the pinnacle of what they do? Well, in the NFL, it would be the Super Bowl. And the CrossFit, it would be the CrossFit Games. You name the sport, you talk about their championship. Those athletes are rewarded for one thing and one thing only, and that's winning. It's not about what they look like. It's not about how long they're going to live. It's not about the lab work that they do or they don't have. It's about, were they the biggest? Were they the strongest? Were they the fastest? Did they win? The end. We can take Matt Fraser, for example. I know we have a bunch of CrossFitters here on this call. He won the CrossFit Games like 5 years in a row or something crazy like that. Not once was he put on the podium and given the award for best abs in CrossFit. He was put on the podium 5 years in a row, and he was claimed the fittest man on earth because he lifted the most. He was the fastest. He destroyed the competition. That's the pinnacle of performance. Now, aesthetics wise, we could talk about bodybuilding, physique competitions, modeling. And not once have I ever seen a cover model or Mr. Olympia put on the cover of the magazine and basically praised for their physique because he squatted 600 pounds or he won the CrossFit Games. The reason they win Mr. Olympia, the reason that they're on the cover of magazines is because it's a visual representation of who they are. They might be the weakest person in the gym, but that doesn't really matter because they have a visually appealing aesthetic that people, they desire, right? But once again, it's maximal distance away from longevity. So again, these people could be extremely unhealthy and we don't know that, right? It's a sad thing, right? Most of them are pretty unhealthy. We talk about it. They might have poor lab work. We don't know. We don't even know their lab work. They're just being judged on those things. They're being judged on one thing and one thing only, and that's the appearance of their physique. And then we finally have longevity at the top, right? When we talk about longevity, we talk about in terms of well-being, right? We also talk about living to be 100 years old, 110 years old. And we know the protocols that do that is to reduce stress. Well, if we talk about maximal performance, that's a lot of stress. If we talk about getting to a super lean body fat percentage, that's a very long or very large navigation away from homeostasis, which is a lot of stress. And the very protocols to achieve each is also going to bring on a lot of stress, guys. So when we start to understand the absolute points of this triangle, longevity, performance, and aesthetics, we talk about the absolute corners of each one. We start to understand where your goals pair up. And most importantly, what your goals are not. So now when we sit down with a client and we draw out this triangle, then I turn the marker over to the individual and I say, Ms. Jones, I want you to draw a circle and show me exactly where your goal is. And typically when they draw that circle, I'm going to say, great. I want you to tell me exactly what that represents to you. Well, normally they put that dot right in the middle. And Ms. Jones will be like, well, I want to look better and I want to perform better. And I also want to feel better. And I'm going to be like, okay, cool. That's great. Well, that's what you see. Let me tell you what I see. Because what I see is that you're also okay when not having the best physique. You're also okay with not having the best performance. And always not maybe feeling your best. Is that okay with you? Is that cool? And they're gonna be like, no, that's not okay. Okay, so which one is the most important one to you? And when we finally get to a point where we finally get to appropriate foundation to begin your journey from, and it's very important that I said begin, not continue, right? Because if you don't begin your journey here, if you don't use this as the foundational principle by which you work from going forward, you will head down a path you truly don't want to go, which will ultimately lead to a lot of wasted time, more money, energy, effort, and frustration. And that's not what we want to see happen, guys. So the very first thing that we need to fundamentally and fully understand is exactly what are your goals? And equally importantly, what is your goals not? Does that make sense? Can you all understand the importance of having this foundational understanding to develop the appropriate start point? Go ahead and put yes in the chat if that resonates with you and that makes sense and you understand it. Yeah, cool. I love it. Perfect. All right, guys. So I told y'all there's gonna be a little bit of homework, right? So there is. So if you have a pen and pad, I want you to write this down. This is gonna be your first assignment moving into this next week. Okay, I simply want you to draw out the triangle of awareness. So just draw out a triangle. You're gonna label each corner: longevity, aesthetics, and performance. Then I want you to draw a single dot somewhere within that triangle that represents where you want to be by the end of this year. Think about it. What is it that's important to you? Where does your attention need to be focused? And then it's kind of important to understand too, guys, like this, just because you draw this dot now doesn't mean it's not going to change. Like it's always going to change. We work in a very periodized approach, right? So doesn't mean that wherever you draw your dot, that's where you're destined for life. You can always move that dot, but you definitely want to come back to this triangle to establish what's important to you. And then after we're done establishing that, guys, right, the next thing we need to understand is why this outcome is important to you. We need to anchor this goal so no tide can move it. I want you to root this anchor so deep that no storm stands a chance of blowing it over. Because we know storms are coming. That's guaranteed to happen in life. And before I kind of like go on, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me, right? Because I think it's super important to know how much somebody cares. Because if you don't know how much they care, you don't really care how much they know. Like we talked about with Mike, we both joined the Marine Corps out of high school together. He was a year before me. We went our own ways in the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps, joined the infantry. I think he joined the infantry. I became a sniper in the Marine Corps. And I spent the next couple of my years deploying in combat zones. 2011, I stepped on a bomb in Afghanistan. I lost my right leg right below the knee, had multiple severe fractures, pelvis fractures, you name it, the list goes on. All from a single step. But it was that next year of my life that became the real struggle. That single step was easy. I literally just had to take one step forward. Getting back up after that step, well, that shit was hard. And that's when my life became tested. I spent that next year of my life undergoing multiple surgeries, an extensive rehabilitation process. I was bound to a wheelchair. Imagine being a hard charging Marine and being stuck in a wheelchair, depending on everyone to do everything for you. It wasn't sitting well with me. I lost sight of who I was as a man, as a Marine. I became very addicted to all the narcotics I was on. You name it, I was taking it. I started drinking myself to sleep every night. I was ordering fast food to my room because I didn't want to leave the house. I was ashamed of who I was. I felt disappointed. I felt sorry for myself. Well, eventually I had a hard look in the mirror. I was going to the Marine Corps birthday and I had to put my dress blues on. You know that sexy uniform with all the shiny metals? Well, mine looks pretty good because there's a lot of shiny metals on it. I had to put that uniform on. I couldn't get the color to close. Right now I sit about 160 pounds. I got up to 250 pounds in this wheelchair in a matter of months. But I was looking at myself in this mirror, and I'll never forget this moment in life. I was instantly drowned in a sense of sorrow and disappointment. And it wasn't so much the fact that I was overweight and out of shape. It was because I felt like I let everyone down. My teammates that saved my life that morning, the medevac team that came to pick me up, the doctors, the surgeons, the OTs, the PTs, the nurses, the case managers, my family, all these people gave me a second chance. They did everything in their power to give me another opportunity at life. And I was being ungrateful and I was messing it up. And that's when it hit me. I took all the pills that I had and I threw them in the trash. I went to my kitchen and I cleaned it out. All the food in the cabinets, the pantry, the fridge, the freezer, all went in the trash. I don't care if I thought I was healthy or not. I threw it away. I need a clean slate. That very next morning at 0500, I was the first guy in the gym. And just the kind of build awareness around this, I still don't have a leg. I couldn't drive. I was literally using a crutch to hit the gas and brake pedal. But the pain of where I was at didn't exceed the pain of change. Like I was willing to do whatever I could. So I was the first one in the gym. That same night, I was the last one to leave. I went all into myself. I knew what I had to do. And what I had to do is get back to who I once was. And one thing I was really good at doing was getting very uncomfortable and staying uncomfortable for a long period of time. And that's what happened. That's what I realized. I lost sight of that. I started to accept where I was at in life rather than seek out the pain of change and discomfort. I stopped growing. But that's what I did. I went all in on myself, right? I started working out religiously. I started eating healthy. I started Googling and YouTubing all the things to lose the weight as fast as possible. I did all the things times 10. I was taking the drops. I was eating 1,000 calories. I was doing fasting. I was doing paleo. I did all that shit. I lost 80 pounds very quickly, so quickly. In fact, I lost it so quick that my PTs, they said, whatever you're doing, keep doing that. Stop coming to see us because what you're doing is working. But they only saw the weight loss. And what I found going through this journey, that I was surrounded by other guys similar to me. There's probably 60 other Marines at the Wounded Warrior Center where I was at in San Antonio, all with similar injuries, missing body parts. It was a very sad place to be. Like the motivation was not up there. And so I started pulling other guys and bringing them with me. I would take them to the gym. I would give them nutrition advice. I wanted to help them get out of the painful place that I was once in. And like that became my mission. It's to help people not go through the shit that I've been through. And this is what I've been doing ever since 2013, December 2013 is when I retired. Most people, most Marines, they don't know what the hell they're gonna do next in life. I'm sure Mike can attest to that. Not this guy. I knew I wanted to change the fucking world. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to transform lives. So I continued serving my country. I continued pouring in and being the person that I once was, right? And I found myself again throughout that process. And that's ultimately what led to the transformation project. But while going through that change, I realized there's a checklist along the way. And it was what I like to call the "Am I ready" checklist. And the very first question I want you to ask yourself before you make change is, am I willing to challenge my pre-existing beliefs? Write that down. Ask yourself that tonight or tomorrow. Do it soon. Am I willing to challenge my pre-existing beliefs? Am I willing to do things differently? That's number 2. If you want an outcome you never had before, you're gonna have to do some things you haven't done before. Number 3 was, am I willing to step outside of my comfort zone? Well, me at the time, it was, am I willing to roll outside of my comfort zone? I wasn't stepping at that time. Soon I got my prosthetic, which was fun. And then number 4 is, am I willing to make sacrifices? And then the very last question, guys, is, am I willing, or am I willingly, internally driven to make change? Are you internally driven to change? And those questions require brutal honesty. Like, change is scary. Sometimes we think we want change, but our actions would suggest differently. We cling on to what we know, and we often find ourselves back to where we started, or even worse. Like, do you really want the things you say you want? That checklist requires brutal honesty with yourself. That's why I love it so much. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask those questions. You'll get some honesty there. But once you check these boxes, it's not a matter of if, but it's when you'll be successful. And before I get off tonight's call, guys, I wanted to share a little story with you, and I love this story. It's with one of my past clients. His name's John. Well, just like most people, right? John had been gradually putting on weight for about 11 years. And it started after his son, Kevin, was born. And the demands of being a new dad, combined with working 60-hour weeks, he was in an office job, it really started to get the best of him. But then more kids came on, and so did more weights. All along, John knew he needed to lose the weight. He was running out of breath, walking up the stairs, lifting up his 4-year-old daughter, triggered back pain. And every year, he'd have to buy pants one size bigger. His health was getting worse and worse until he went to the doctors. And at 44 years old, he was diagnosed with diabetes, and the doctor told him he had high risk for a heart attack. At first, he felt disappointed. He was angry with himself. I remember this call. He was horrified, all because of the terrifying thoughts. If you keep this up, you won't see your daughter graduate. You'll be leaving your family to fend for themselves. You'll be a failure as a dad because you got too comfortable to do something about it. He was on the verge of tears. But then shortly after, it was like a fire lit up inside of him. He committed with every cell of his being to lose the weight once and for all, for himself, for everyone that he loved. You know that saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Well, this is exactly why it's not always true. Because John was doing what he'd always done for 11 years straight, but he was getting worse. Things were not staying the same. So the truth is, if you always do what you've always done, you'll keep going where you've been going. And if where you've been going is downhill with your health, you could reach a point of no return. And for maybe John, it would take a year, maybe 10 years, but eventually his poor habits would keep him from seeing his wife and his children ever again. That's a hard pill to swallow. And no one wants to hear that. It's uncomfortable and not natural to think about that. And we don't want to be the ones to say like not take care of your health means leaving your loved ones behind. But unfortunately, sometimes it takes staring the truth in the face to get a fire you need to make a real commitment to change, as it did for John. Because John was lucky, he got a wake-up call. Others, they may live in denial till it's too late. Right? The good news is y'all are here. It means it's not too late for you to change the path you're headed down. In 10 years, you could literally look back at this moment as the moment where everything changed. Right? The moment where you said enough is enough, when you committed to doing what's right for you. Where you choose the path to go down, to leave the legacy you need to live. So assignment number 1, guys, was to establish your goals utilizing the triangle of awareness. Assignment number 2 is going to be anchoring it. What is your why? Why is accomplishing this goal important to you? How will it impact your life? How will it impact your family and your loved ones? Those are the 2 assignments I want to leave you all with for this week. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a thread in the Facebook group. It's going to say, what are your goals? What is your anchor? What I encourage you to do is to take a screenshot of your triangle of awareness, and I want you to write out your why it's important to you, and what that goal means to you. And I just want you to leave it in a comment on that thread, because I'm going to hold you accountable to that. It's important to me. That's why I'm here. Does that sound good, guys? Can we do that this weekend? Cool. So what I'm going to do also, just because I love this stuff, somebody that comments their triangle awareness and they put down their why and their goals and they get vulnerable, because it's vulnerable. Like, for most of us, we're strangers to each other, but not really. Y'all are my family. I love each and every one of y'all. But for somebody that puts their homework on that thread, the next time I get on a call, I'm buying your groceries for the week. Okay, so I'll send you over some money to pay for your week 2 groceries. Right? It's just a simple thank you for doing the task. Does that sound good, guys? Y'all cool with that? Perfect. I love it. All right, guys. Man, it's been a long night already. It's 8 o'clock. Let's go ahead and open it up real quick for Q&A for either Michael or myself. It doesn't matter who, right? So if you have anything you want to ask Michael, go ahead and do so now. He probably has about 5 minutes. He has a daughter. He probably needs to get to sleep soon, right? And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sign off for the night after that. Any questions, guys? Just go ahead and unmute yourself or put me in the chat. We're here for you. Cool, no questions. I love it. That means we did something right, maybe. So Michael, he went ahead and dropped his website in the chat room as well, Vantage Point Training Academy or VantagePointTA.com. Yeah, Shannon, I'll post the triangle in the group so you can see it. Okay. And I'll go ahead and put it up real quick as well so you can get a quick visual. There you go. Just go ahead and take a screenshot of that if you're not on your phone. Yeah, I'll post the questions as well. Yeah, I'll post all this information for y'all so I can go back. And this video or this Zoom call was recorded, so y'all can go back and watch it too if you want to watch it as well. Okay. So I'll be sharing that tomorrow after it's uploaded.
Awesome, man.
Perfect, man. Did everyone get some value out of tonight? Like, that's important to me, that you took something away. If you got something out of it, just go ahead and put me in the chat one last time. Perfect. Hell yeah. Love it. Yes. We did it.
Woo!
Cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll hop off for tonight. Once again, Mike, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. I know you didn't have to, but you wanted to, right? Because you love doing this just as much as I do.
Absolutely.
Tell your daughter I'm sorry for taking her dad's time, right? But no, for real, appreciate you, man. Guys, if y'all need anything, Michael is in the group as well. He's been in the group for a long time. So don't hesitate to shoot him a DM, ask him questions. He put his website in there. I'll post it as well in the group so y'all have that information. Follow him on social media and stuff. Stay active with him. Like, he's a really good guy. So you'll definitely want to be around for that. But for real, everyone, thank y'all tonight for spending your time with us. A later call than usual. I know you got to do family things as well, so it really means the world to me. But y'all have a good night, guys.
Sweet. See ya.
Bye.